A female is seated on a chair in a dimly lit room. She has tears in her eyes and regret on her visage. She gradually begins to recount her narrative in a gentle, broken voice that is both soft and fractured. My name is Kushi. I am 18 years old, and my torso measures 45 inches. I am 5 feet tall. I was married to a man named Faison. I was never inclined to marry, however I was compelled to do so. My name is derived from the Latin word for joy, yet I have never experienced any joy in my life. My childhood, adolescence, and marriage all felt like a dream that never materialized. I urge you to listen to my narrative until the conclusion, as I committed an error that you should never make. Flashbacks of her childhood, her wedding, and her forced expressions are displayed on the screen. Kushi persists, absorbed in contemplation. I believed that my life would improve following my marriage. However, 1 year later, I discovered myself in my bedroom, lost in thought, gazing at myself in the mirror. Faison and I were wedded. I was his wife and he was my spouse. However, our marriage was devoid of the emotions that a wife anticipates from her spouse. Faison was a kind individual, however he was incapable of comprehending my requirements. He was incapable of satisfying my intense desire for affection. I was only perceived as his wife by him, and not with the eyes of affection. He would arrive home late each evening and engage in minimal conversation with me. Faison arrives home late, disregarding Kushi as she remains alone, experiencing feelings of neglect and unlove. Additionally, his occupation consumed the majority of his time. I began to experience an increasing sense of isolation as the days passed. Suddenly, my existence underwent a significant transformation. One of my childhood friends and cousins, Sala, visited me at my residence. Sala had consistently been a person who listened to me and comprehended every word I spoke. Upon observing me, he inquired, "Please explain the situation." Then I told him the entirety of my narrative. I was finally given the attention I had been yearning for after he listened to me. I was unaware of the timing or manner in which I began to be attracted to him. Initially, our interactions consisted of brief glimpses, laughter, and informal discussions. Nevertheless, we began to develop a stronger bond over time. Emotions that I had never anticipated began to emerge from my heart. Our meetings gradually increased in frequency. Unable to resist, we were drawn to one another. Subsequently, we made a perilous decision that neither of us should have made. We were both aware that it was incorrect. We were aware that we were progressing towards sin. However, I was unable to think rationally in Sala's presence. Then one day, while we were alone in my chamber, the boundary that should never have been crossed was breached. We were in close proximity as we held each other and allowed our emotions to dominate. We were so engrossed in our fervor that we were unable to discern whether our actions were morally correct or not. However, at that precise moment I experienced tranquility. Additionally, contentment was being discovered. This pattern persisted for an extended period. Suddenly, Faison began to harbor suspicions toward me. He examined my mobile device and observed my conversations with Sala. A few days later, he observed Sala and me in the house, and everything became apparent. Faison's irises were filled with anguish upon learning of the situation. I will never forget that. He did not address me. He gazed at me in silence. And that gaze penetrated my heart, as did Faison's silence and his wounded heart. He glanced at me one final time before departing. I wept that day due to my silence, my helplessness, and my betrayal. In the interim, Sala's spouse also discovered the information and subsequently separated from him. He began to be despised by his offspring. Sala's parents were incensed with him after my residence was devastated. I had aspired for a more fulfilling existence with Sala. However, the truth was that we had personally destroyed our residences. Neither Sala nor I were able to achieve tranquility. We had become a source of mutual anguish. Then, animosity between us began to escalate. We commenced the process of assigning blame to one another. Love was replaced by regret and wrath. I am currently strolling alone on the road, and my eyes are filled with nothing but tears. I am leading an existence that is devoid of purpose. Salah's life has been irreparably damaged as a result of his addiction to intoxication. I betrayed in the name of love, and fate dealt me the most severe punishment. The contentment that I had pursued was irretrievably lost. I am currently living in solitude, consumed by remorse. I would not have made this error if I had the ability to turn back time. Those who deceive are incapable of experiencing genuine happiness. A person who forfeits their loyalty to another individual will never achieve tranquility. The beauty of genuine love is tarnished by betrayal, which results in its devastation. My life serves as a cautionary tale for all individuals, as impetuous decisions made in the midst of emotion invariably result in disaster. Love is a sacred bond, and those who betray it will never find contentment. Loyalty is the hallmark of genuine affection. A person who deceives others will eventually be deceived themselves. Sin always has negative repercussions, regardless of how appealing it may appear. This narrative is intended for individuals who violate their loved ones due to their fleeting emotions. Perhaps another home can be spared from catastrophe if even one individual learns from this story and makes the correct decision in life. Like what you heard. There's plenty more heartbreak and secrets to come. Hit like, subscribe, and stay curious with Tangled Truths.